This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on. Or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Hey, all you heroes, hawks, crows, rooks, and inquisitors. Welcome to the Dragon Age Lorecast, where we unpack, discuss, and theorize about all the lore behind the Dragon Age series.
We are so excited to bring you this podcast. Every episode will be covering a different topic in the Dragon Age universe. From character deep dives to exalted marches and elven gods, we'll cover it all.
There will be spoilers, and always remember, swooping is bad.
Welcome to the Dragon Age Lorecast, where we talk about Dragon Age and its lore. I'm one of your hosts, Austin, also known as Teacup.
And I'm your other host, Shelby or Shecup.
That you are, and we are here to talk about Dragon Age. We are continuing in our Rulers series, but today we're taking a break from specific rulers of countries, and we're doing a character deep dive.
Yeah, we are. We're talking about Gaspard today. And I know that technically he can be a ruler. And at first I was going to cover him in last week's episode, but that episode was already long. And I just felt like, okay, we've talked about Selene so many times. We've talked about Briala a couple times. And I know we've talked about Gaspard before, but we've never really gotten into his backstory. And so I just felt like he deserved his own episode.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Well, yeah. Well, let's just dive right in to what I know are going to be the fun facts.
Yeah. And I do want to say before we do that, I think usually almost every other character deep dive we've ever done has been a companion, but several of them in this season are going to be just like more important people in Thedas. I'm thinking of this one and the next one that we're doing are both non-companions. And a few next season I've got on the list as well. So stay tuned for all of that. Yeah. But anyway, so fun facts. First up is, according to Briala, who, to be fair, she could be lying or exaggerating, but according to her, Gaspard is a veteran of, quote, the war in Ferelden, which implies that he fought in the Ferelden, or fought against Ferelden during the time of the Orlesian occupation for Orlais, of course.
I mean, makes sense given his age. He would have been just a soldier. He probably went somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was one of his first assignments as a young Chevalier.
Right, especially considering what we know from last episode, that his mother really wanted him to close with his grandfather.
Yeah, fair. So another fun fact that we know about Gaspard is that he is a smoker and in fact has a smoking room at his home in Val Royeaux.
Where do we learn that?
I don't remember and I didn't put it in the show notes, so you can look it up after.
Seems like a weird thing. We don't really see a lot of smoking in Dragon Age.
No, we don't. I'm sure it's pipes though, like the old school style, not like a cigarette.
Yeah, I would definitely think so. Also, like, smoking is so, like when you think of the French, you think of smoking. So I guess it makes sense.
That's true. That is true. So I have a couple more. Next up is Gaspard wears a puzzle ring of the Black Fox as a gift for excelling in the grand game. The ring is from Lady Mantillon, and a ring of the same name can be purchased at Bonnie Lim's Wares in Dragon Age 2. Its description says, quote, in Orlais, they say that there are 10 of these rings, one for each finger, and that the Black Fox was never without a single one. Some claim each represented a conquest, others that they were reminders of secrets that he kept, still others that they carried an inscription that if all the rings were assembled as one, they told the location of the Black Fox's stronghold. Many nobles in Val Royeaux have claimed to own one or more of the rings, but nobody has ever found them all. Their secret, if there is one, is safe to this day.
Interesting. Seems like a legend or a story. It very much reminds me of the 10 Rings, that Marvel movie. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Where he has all the 10 rings and stuff. I don't know a lot about Marvel, so I probably am making some comic book fans bang their head against the wall, but that's what I remember.
That's okay. All right, so my last fun fact is a little bit I just think it's a little bit sad, but I think is important insight into his character, which we'll talk about at the end. So this one is that Sir Aaron Hawthorne, who is a knight of Ferelden, the knight in the Knight Errant comic series who trains Vea, he has a horse that is the Orlesian Courser breed, and this horse once belonged to Gaspard. The horse's name is Cassé, which means broken in French. I'm assuming it also means broken in Orlesian as well. Gaspard named the horse this because he saw him as broken because the horse avoids combat. The horse came into Sir Aaron's possession because he refused to let Gaspard put the horse down.
This is very all creatures great and small coded.
Yeah, it is.
Sir Aaron Hawthorne, also known as Siegfried Farnan.
Great show. Great show. All right. Any thoughts before we get into his backstory?
I don't think so. Just that, I do feel like Gaspard very much represents, what you would expect an emperor of Orlais to be like.
Yes. Yes, very much so. A modern emperor of Orlais for sure, but yes, nonetheless. Okay, so first thing is that Gaspard was born in 874 Blessed to the House Chalons, a noble house. He is the eldest surviving grandchild of Emperor Judaical I. We know that he was raised with the expectation that he would be the heir to the throne, since Emperor Florian did not have surviving children. We'll get more into that later. We don't know much about his childhood, but what we do know starts at the age of 13 when he joined the Académie des Chevaliers. He became a full chevalier when he was just 19 years old. Gaspard also married the daughter of Duke Bastien de Ghislaine. Her name is Lady Calienne. They rule over the city of Verchiel and all of House Chalons together.
Duke Bastien, that's Vivian's lover.
Yeah, so this is the same, one and the same, Vivian's lover. He also, interestingly enough, supported Gaspard in his bid for the throne.
It's interesting because, like, and of course Vivian has allowed her own opinions, but, like, he supported her in there. But, like, Vivian very much gives the, like, intention that, like, she does not trust Gaspard if you take her to the Winter Palace.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think Vivian trusts anybody.
That's true. I just think I remember her favoring Celine or Briala ruling with Gaspard.
Yeah. It's been so long, I don't always remember exactly, but I see where you're coming from. So I do want to dig into the Chevaliers because I think this part of his life is foundational to understanding who he is as a character. So we know that he becomes a Chevalier very young, and that's not at all what's the most significant piece here. He is one of, if not the highest ranking Orlesian noble to ever become a Chevalier. And at first, many people thought and whispered and gossiped that, oh, well, you know, his rank is what got him to be a full Chevalier so quickly. But he proved everyone wrong in his first grand tourney. He defeated several veteran Chevalier and placed high in the joust and horse race. He likely would have won the grand melee as well if he had not forfeited the match rather than risk injuring the young Marquis of Montsimard with his jagged, broken sword. He noted that the Chevalier's code prohibited an honorable combat with unmatched weapons, and so he forfeits because of this.
It's so interesting because, like, there are so many characters that we encounter that have stories tied to the grand tourney, yet we've never been to it.
I would love to see it. And it is in the free marches, so I'm just like, I guess it's like sibling relationship now almost between the free marches and Orlais is so interesting. I want to know more about it, just because, like, they have so much, like, just little aspects of Orlesian culture, but they're, like, very adamantly not Orlesian, but they just share so much.
Yeah, having a Chevalier companion would be really interested, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it would be. So also as a Chevalier and military commander, Gaspard very much earned a reputation among his men as a leader who was well loved for his even-handed and respectful treatment of everyone who served with him, even while he adamantly showed his open dislike for the grand game of Orlais.
Listen, I know you don't like to talk about this, but in the 4th Harry Potter book,
oh God,
Ron is talking about Barty Crouch and, like, how he didn't seem like that bad of a guy or whatnot, and Sirius tells Ron that you judge a man by how he treats those he considers beneath him versus how he treats his equals. And I think that this is a real point with Gaspard, because I think it's really easy to, like, frame Gaspard as, like, the evil and bad guy if you just play Inquisition. But, like, this is important. This is so important to who he is. The fact that he is well respected and loved by the people he serves not because, like, he's great or he's powerful, but because he treats them right.
Exactly.
That is a huge character plus in Gaspard's book, in my opinion.
This is crucial to how I'm going to assess him at the end of the episode. So let's talk about the succession crisis. So when Florian dies, Gaspard was pretty much expecting to become emperor, quite reasonably. You know, he is the eldest grandchild of the previous emperor, though we've talked about how going by traditional rules of succession, it also makes sense for Celine. But Celine outmaneuvers him and gets herself crowned empress instead, as we know. Gaspard's wife, Lady Calienne, then orchestrated the death of Celine's mother, Clarice de Montfort, via a hunting accident. In retaliation, Celine's father, Grand Duke Renaud, killed Lady Calienne, and he then quickly died of an illness that was thought to be caused by the poison on Lady Calienne's stiletto. So we've got a lot of death right here, right back to back in this succession crisis. But not only all of that, when Celine was crowned, Navarra attacks Orlais again. And so Celine, hoping that Gaspard would probably get killed or at least injured, sends him to lead the Orlesian response. Which I do think this is a smart move. She's betting on, okay, well, maybe he'll get killed or injured enough to not be a threat to me anymore. And if he doesn't, at least I have him out of my hair for a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Navarra had taken over the town of Laracolt and spread throughout the area of Ghislaine. And so they sent Gaspard to push them back, but he was under very strict orders to just abandon and retreat if he lost more than 1,000 Orlesian lives. Some people saw that this was a show of Celine's pragmatism, but others felt that she was just trying to set Gaspard up to fail. What do you think?
I think Celine in this thing, I don't think she's setting him up to fail necessarily, but I think she's goading him in this moment. I think that she's saying like, oh, well, if you get to this point, like, give up. There's no way you're going to do this. Like, kind of goading him into being reckless. Versus, like, I think that's a little different than setting him up to fail, if that makes sense.
I do kind of think she's trying to set him up to fail. And I think that Celine is one of these people that constantly underestimates him. And I think that she thinks, oh, like, he's not that good of a Chevalier. Like, he's not going to be able to do this. So I'll just send him with a bare minimum people and it'll be fine. And they'll probably all get decimated, whatever. That's what I think.
Yeah, Celine, I've said this before, but like Celine's underestimating and misunderstanding of Gaspard's character is her biggest flaw.
I agree. And I don't think it's just a misunderstanding of Gaspard. I think that she misunderstands the culture of the Chevalier. I don't think she understands them. And that's such a failing on her part because they are a vital pillar of Orlais.
Right, and I think that this is really Celine's, and we'll get into this, I'm assuming, but like Gaspard gets the support of the military for a lot of reasons. And I think in Inquisition, if I remember the quest right, there is like one of his like servants or someone who served him who like talks favorably about him. He's like dying because he was attacked by Florian's assassins or something like that.
It's not the mercenaries from Ferelden.
Oh, maybe it is the mercenaries from Ferelden that I'm thinking of. But there is someone who comes in and be like, no, Gaspard is like a good guy.
I don't remember. But regardless of what Celine's intentions were, right? Gaspard, it doesn't matter. He is successful with far, 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 far fewer casualties than 1,000. He drove the Navarrans back, and while they even still held the small town of Laracolt, Gaspard rode out alone to challenge the Navarran commander. He baited the Navarran, who was a famed tournament fighter, into a single combat, and the town would go to the winner. Of course, the commander balks at the suggestion, so Gaspard throws down his shield and cries out, "If you're that fearful, then I shall fight without a shield, as it seems I will not need it." And so the Navarran agrees to fight. Gaspard remained true to his word and fought without a shield, and instead he fought with a maul, which was a weapon he wasn't familiar with. In less than 1 minute, Gaspard had broken the commander's arm and accepted the Navarran surrender.
This is Gaspard's like truest strength, in my opinion, is that like, and it's such a good like subversion of expectations. This man understands people probably better than a lot of people in the entirety of Thedas.
Yes.
Like, he can take a look at a person and understand what makes them tick, and then use that to his advantage. It is such a like brilliant tactical mind. I'm not surprised that he is a successful military commander or a good chevalier, because he knows how to manipulate situations to his advantage and put himself on top. I mean, it is why he's great at the game. It's very much that like that kind of like Anakin Skywalker moment of like, okay, here's this plan, and everyone's like, this is a dumb plan, and they think it's dumb because they're not smart enough to see the 5 moves ahead that Anakin or Gaspard has already thought of.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. But it's so funny to me that he hates the game. He hates it. He doesn't want to play it. And I'm like, but you're so good at it. If you really like sat your mind to it and thought about like, you know, compared it to being a military expedition, like you could dominate.
But hating the game is what makes him good at it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because it helps him win favor in a way that other nobles can't.
Yeah.
Do. Like, I'm sure that there's a lot of commoners, and especially among more military nobles, who are like, ugh, the game, like it's such a like show or whatnot. And Gaspard's like, you know, I feel you too. But I know that I was reading ahead in the notes, and there's a quote that says this, but like, I feel you too, but like, here's all this going on. Look at me. I detest this, but I have to use it.
Right. Great point. But let's get into our mid-break, and then we'll come back and talk about his involvement in the game.
All right.
I've got this nefarious plan to go around to each of them and secretly tell them all the nasty things you said. That way they'll mutiny and I shall become...
So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer ahead to learn more. See you this summer.
At first, I didn't think it was real. I woke up to this blinding light, and I was transported to another place. Pluto TV. Then I heard a voice.
Come with me if you want to live.
There were thousands of movies and shows, and they were all free.
The truth is ours.
It's just so beautiful.
On Pluto TV, free streaming of Terminator 2, Fringe, Arrow, The 100, and The X-Files may cause excitement, loss of sleep, and sudden belief in extraterrestrials. No credit cards or alien encounters necessary. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
The group leader.
You know, we have more comfortable rooms and basically infinite space, so why
does the trained assassin prefer a quiet, unassuming spot with good choke points?
Guess you just answered that question.
Besides, I'm closer to the coffee.
Just wondering if the feathered pauldrons are an essential part of the moody rebel mage persona.
What are you talking about?
I'm working on an epic poem about a hopelessly romantic apostate, waging an epic struggle against forces he can't possibly defeat.
What do you mean, can't possibly defeat?
Well, it's not a good story unless the hero dies.
Welcome to the middle of the show where we take time to talk about things going on with the podcast that don't have to do with the lore of Dragon Age. And so here we thank our patrons. Thank you especially to our first patrons, Genesis and Lisa M. If you'd like to join us on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/DALorecast. Another great way to support us is to leave us ratings or reviews on Apple or Spotify. If you leave us 5 stars and some kind words, we'll read it out on a future episode of the show. I do not have a review to read today, so if you haven't left us a comment or a review, please do so. We would greatly appreciate it. And then last but not least, come hang out with us on Discord, the Cubs Podcasting and More Discord server. It's a great place to hang out, talk about the games, and all kinds of fun stuff. We would love to see you there. And that's all I have for the middle of the show.
All right, well, let's get back into it.
My people have heard legends of the Grey Warden's strength and skill. Though I suppose not every legend is true.
That's really helpful. What are you?
This spring, Uber Eats has you covered. Whether you're celebrating mom, dad, or your favorite grad, not all of us are great planners, and with the Uber Eats gift hub, you don't have to be. Send flowers, perfume, champagne, or just their favorite meal straight to their door. Gifts arrive in as little as 25 minutes, and you can add a personalized video message for that additional so-not-last-minute touch. So this spring, get a leg up on gift giving with Uber Eats. Last-minute gifts that land every time. Must be 21 or older to purchase alcohol. Product availability varies per region. See app for details.
Amazon presents Jeff versus Taco Truck Salsa. Whether it's Verde, Roja, or the orange one. For Jeff, trying any salsa is like playing Russian roulette with a flamethrower. Luckily, Jeff saved with Amazon and stocked up on antacids, ginger tea, and milk. Habanero? More like habanero, yes. Save the everyday with Amazon.
Elven god of sarcasm.
Lies, treachery, and rebellion, depending upon the story. And how could I help? I do not have my ritual dagger. I cannot access my network of mirrors to travel from the lighthouse to anywhere in the world. All I can offer is what I know.
Helpful advice from the Elven god of, and I am quoting you here, lies, treachery, and rebellion.
Depending on the story.
You fear barbarians will swoop down upon you.
Yes, swooping is bad.
So we do primarily see Gaspard in Inquisition and, of course, its lead-up book, The Masked Empire. As always, we're going to give a general overview of what happens. But if you'd like to know more, either go play the game, go read the book, or listen to our episode on the book. So in The Masked Empire, we see that Gaspard has become disillusioned with Celine's rule. She has taken a diplomatic approach to the Mage Templar tensions and with Elven uprisings, which he vehemently disagrees with. In 940 Dragon, Gaspard decides to fully challenge Celine for the throne, and this is the spark for the War of the Lions. At a ball hosted by Celine, Gaspard attempts to goad Tegan Garin, who is now the Ferelden ambassador, into a duel by insulting the memory of Queen Moira. Celine, though, outwits Gaspard, kind of, but offends and insults the Chevalier in the process, which gives Gaspard more forces than he would have had otherwise. Gaspard is also the one who commissions the famous play that depicts Briala and Celine as Chartan and Andraste. And throughout most of the book, Celine and her company are on the run from Gaspard and his company. They all meet up in the end, fighting each other. And if you want to know more, again, go read the book. But I think the thing that I want to bring up that most highlights Gaspard's character in this story is his duel at the end and his interactions with Michel. So Michel, if you don't remember, is Celine's disgraced champion. And he fights for Celine against Gaspard. Gaspard's allies were essentially hexing him, casting magic to make him do worse against Gaspard. And this gives Gaspard the upper hand. And so Briala ends up killing Lien, one of the people that's hexing him. And Michel basically gains the upper hand and almost kills Gaspard. But Briala is the one that asks Michel to spare him. This is how Michel's elf-bloodedness also comes to light. And afterwards, we know they both survive. But Gaspard refuses to report him to the Academy des Chevaliers, even comparing him to Sir Aveline, who is the first female Chevalier. And so I think this is really important. I think it's easy to see Celine as, he hates elves, like, he uses the nice slur. I think he calls Briala Bunny. But, and sure, he may be prejudiced. I think he is. But he is not this raging, violent, like, I want to kill all the elves kind of Orlesian man. And I think for an emperor, a potential person who could have been emperor or could be, depending on your choices in the game, I think that's important.
Yeah, I think that Gaspard very much represents, as I said, like the old guard of Orlais. Like he holds these noble prejudice and all of those things, but like Gaspard sees the value of individuals in their as individuals. Like he has some prejudice about the elves and other things that are built in there, but like he doesn't allow those to prevent him from seeing someone who has the potential to be great and be useful.
Yeah, I think that Gaspard is one of those people that's prejudiced against the group, but when he has an individual in front of him, he sees them as an individual. And like, don't get me wrong, y'all, that's still highly problematic, but that is a person that can be changed. That is a person that can be converted. That is not a person who we just write off and say, okay, well, they're never going to change. They're always going to be hateful. I don't agree with that.
Right. And like Gaspard's actions speak far louder than his words ever do, in my opinion. And like a true man who hated the elves and wanted to eradicate them and not see them in Orlais in any way would have reported Michel right away.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't do that because of how well Michel is as a Chevalier and how well he fights. The fact that he's getting hexed and he's still kind of holding his own.
Right.
And I get really surprised. I feel like Gaspard at first doesn't know that's what's happening, because I just feel like he wouldn't agree to that as a character.
Yeah, he doesn't know. I'm pretty sure that he doesn't know that's what's happening, and he like he like is like, no, like we're not doing this. That's dishonorable. Or maybe I've got it wrong. I can't remember. But regardless, I do think that is such an important point in that, like, and maybe it's just that, like, okay, his love for the Chevalier overcomes his hate for the elf. But I do think it's a little bit more complex than that.
No, I think that, like, Gaspard is well educated. And he obviously is someone who took his education seriously, especially being able to pull something like Sir Aveline out from, the thin air and, like, apply it to a situation. Like, it's one thing to know history. It's another thing to be able to apply history in a modern setting.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's another level of critical thinking. And so I think that anyone who really gets understanding of history, especially the history of their own country and along these ways, you start seeing patterns that when countries undergo change, when groups undergo change, it is often an outsider that offers this perspective for them to move forward. An outsider from the group. And like, it's not always the case, but that is often the case. And so I would think that Gaspard would understand that you can't have things as they've always been, because that's stagnation and that equals death.
Yeah, I think he does. I agree with that. I think he does think that. But I also think he wants to go back to a different era of Orlais. And I think you can hold both of those tensions together.
Right. I think that he wants... I feel like there are two Orlais that exist. There's the Orlais that's like that's Céline's cultivating, that's academia and artsy and this renaissance that Céline is creating. And then there's the Orlais that Gaspard is creating, which is this like very historical, very proud, very like proud in their military, proud in the identity of what it means to be Orlesian just because you are Orlesian, versus I feel like Céline's is like, we are proud to be Orlesian because look at what Orlais creates.
It's very much kind of the tension between Sparta and Athens in ancient Greece.
Yes, very much, except in one country. Yeah. And I feel like that's what Gaspard wants, is that he wants an Orlais that is built on honor. And I know it's hard to think about honor in the game existing coincide, but the Chevaliers have a deep, and very strict code of honor.
They do. They do, and Gaspard abides by it. We've talked multiple times in this episode about how, okay, he's refusing to fight, or he's saying no, he's not going to do this because it breaks the code. That's significant.
Because, and it's a point of like, being a Chevalier is a point of pride for Gaspard.
Yes. Because, I mean, he's like the highest ranking Chevalier of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to move us along, though, and talk about Inquisition, because this is when we first meet him. He is the one who invites the Inquisition to the peace talks that are being held by Celine. He asks for the Inquisition's support in the talks, and he also suspects that Briala has some kind of subterfuge planned. And when we first meet him, he very much presents himself as this easygoing and affable and like friendly guy in the beginning, even though, like, you know, deep down he is most certainly not that. Over the course of Wicked Eyes, Wicked Hearts, we see him play the grand game begrudgingly, but with skill. You can overhear some gossip that tells you he's been sending death threats to the Council of Heralds. He has also been planning a coup to occur during the peace talks, smuggling Chevalier and Ferelden mercenaries into the party. You can suss this along with a lot of other stuff out during the quest. Ultimately, if Celine dies, Gaspard can become emperor. He also can be executed if you prove his coup attempt. Either way, you then fully gain the support of the ruler of Orlais. But interestingly enough, if Gaspard rules alone, he will offer you the ability to recruit for the Inquisition from the newly graduating class of Chevalier, a very unique and unprecedented opportunity. He does this before they take their oaths, meaning that they are solely loyal to the Inquisition and not the Chevalier Order, nor Orlais. And then lastly, he also offers Michel de Chavannes a full pardon and place among his honor guard.
I have a lot of thoughts about this man.
But you want to save it till the discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, we can do that. We can get into all of the quotes and personality characteristics. So first up, I have two quotes. The first one, Gaspard says, "A good war unites the empire." And then his second quote is, "I detest the game, but if we do not play it well, our enemies will make us look like villains." Thoughts?
Thoughts are, it's so like the dichotomy between these two quotes, because like a good war unites the empire is so like, oh, you're a violence craving, power hungry dictator. And then you get this second one where you're like, okay, but you're also a pragmatist.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I mean, on one hand, I don't think that he's a wannabe dictator. I don't. I think he wants to be emperor for sure. But I don't think he just wants to conquer everything. I just think he wants to usher in the good old days of Orlais. And I also think, to be fair, no one can make you look like a villain if you aren't already villainous.
That is true. It is also a point of like, this is where I get with Gaspard in all of this, is that he believes that he will make a better emperor, ruler, leader than Celine does, than Celine will, or be, or is. And what makes him so compelling is he's not wrong.
True. That's true. And I do think the Inquisition sets us up to see these two individuals as two people who could be good yet flawed rulers. And they're good rulers, or they would be good rulers in different ways. Ways that are diametrically, however, opposed to one another.
Yes, I do think that. In light of the Veil Guard, I have an opinion on this that I'm going to say. but we can continue on until we get to the final discussion.
Okay. I'm so intrigued by that. So, yeah, just one of the last things I want to talk about with Gaspard is his personality, and the characteristics that I think he embodies. So I think that he first and foremost is a man of action. He's not a deep thinker. He's not a person who's an academic. He is a man with a plan, and he's always going to be doing something. He's a military man through and through. He is a traditionalist. He wants to go back to the good old days of Orlais. He just does. He also is extremely ambitious and ruthless. He'll do whatever it takes to accomplish his goals. And he's also extremely bitter that he was not given the throne, which, as you know, somebody who's raised to think, has been told their whole life, you will be the next emperor. Yeah, I think that's understandable. He's also direct. If you are into the Enneagram, this man is the embodiment of everything that an Enneagram 8 is and should be. Just saying, I am an 8 also, so I can say that with confidence. And then lastly, he is well loved and respected by his subordinates and his colleagues. And like we discussed earlier, this is so important to his character because it shows that he's not cruel, he's not vindictive, he is a good leader, maybe not a good man, but he is a good leader, and one arguably that could be better for Orlais than Celine is. One who has, and this is notable, much, much more experience leading people than Celine does.
This is my comparison to Gaspard, and like, I have never been more pro Gaspard than I am right now. Celine has people's support as long as she does things that benefit them. There are people that love her and support her because they think that they're going to make Orlais she's going to make Orlais a better place for them. People support Gaspard because they trust him. And that's all you need to know.
Well, and here's what I think is crucial to that. Celine has never let herself be known. Gaspard has. Gaspard has friends. Gaspard has loved ones, especially in the military. Yes, he may still be elitist and think he's better than other people because he should be emperor. But he has let people see the real Gaspard. I don't think anyone, since her parents have died, has truly seen the real Celine.
I 100% agree. And like, you can talk about Gaspard and like, oh, he's threatening the Council of Heralds and all of those people. And I'm sorry, but Celine, we have all but like actual confirmation that Celine arranged the death of her uncle. Like, Celine is not above the things that Gaspard does. Hell,
No.
she orders the equivalent of a genocidal raid on Hallam Sharal.
Yeah, she does. She's just as bad as him. And honestly, I think worse, because she pretends to be, and here's the thing. Gaspard is let me go back. Celine pretends that she is above what Gaspard does. But when push comes to shove, when her throne is on the line, when her life is on the line, she does exactly what he would do, or honestly, worse things. Gaspard is a conservative who's honest about it. Celine is a liberal who thinks she's a leftist, but in reality is just like a middle of the road moderate who is lying to herself and everyone around her.
When a rattlesnake shakes its tail, you take caution around it because you know it's going to bite you.
Yes.
When a dog is quiet and sitting and maybe not wagging its tail or being happy, you don't take as much caution and you get bit. That's Celine and Gaspard. No one expects her to be as cruel or vindictive. When Gaspard sends death threats, when Gaspard takes military action, no one is surprised. no one is like, oh, this is something that is happening. When Selene orders the raid on the alienages, people are surprised. And that's the insidious thing about it. Is that Selene tries to convince you that she's not capable of those things when she absolutely is.
Yeah. And not just capable, willing.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's the crux of the conflict between her and Brialla. Brialla has been convinced by Selene that she really did care about the elves and that she would be a different kind of ruler. And there Selene goes at the first real criticism of them and their relationship. She folds like a pancake.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a huge theme of the Masked Empire. That's why it's called the Masked Empire.
Yeah.
But even to the point of, look at Felisan. Felisan sees right through Selene.
Yes, that's true.
And he warns Brialla. But Felisan does not see through Solus. Well, he does and kind of doesn't. But, like, it's the same kind of thing there. And this is my opinion with Gaspard and Selene and which one I think you can do. I think there is a singular pairing of rulers of Ferelden and Orlais that need to be in place for Orlais and Ferelden to survive the events of the Veilguard. And I think Gaspard needs to be emperor and Hardin Alistair needs to be king.
Okay.
They're the only two rulers who are going to take the threat seriously and willing to put down petty disputes and differences to work together for a survival.
I hear that, but then what happens after? Because Gaspard is going to want to conquer Ferelden anyway.
That's true. I think that that's the play that the Inquisition... I think that a disbanded Inquisition in that world state is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But a not disbanded Inquisition is probably that intermediate that's going to be able to place themselves. I'm going to stand corrected. There is a tri-pairing of leadership that needs to exist. And you need Hardin Alistair as king because he is the one who's going to work with Gaspard but not trust Gaspard and be willing to work with him but not compromise Ferelden's own security in the process. Gaspard is going to be the one who actually has the strength to lead Orlais through that crisis. I don't think Selene can do it. And Cassandra needs to be Divine Victoria.
I think Liliana could do it. She could do it.
Yes, but I think Cassandra would command... I think those three individuals are the ones to command the most respect across the whole of Southern Thedas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely hear that.
I mean, you've got a hero Chevalier and a hero... And just probably, if he is there, like a generally respected man, you have the hero of Orlais and left hand of the divine, now divine themselves. And then you have potentially the warden who ended the fifth blight.
Well, I am also just saying, if you have Alistair on the throne, Alistair and Gaspard on the throne, and then Cassandra as divine, you have like every single like institution of Thedas represented with the Seekers, the Templars, the Grey Wardens, the Chevalier, like
just the circle.
You're just missing Magic and like Navarra and Teventer.
But like in a way, being divine is that not a representation of the circle itself? I mean,
True.
You are the ruling power over the circle in that sense. The circles are under the jurisdiction of the Chantry. Well, I guess it depends on what decision is made at the end of Inquisition, because I think no matter what, there is a subgroup that breaks away to form like the College of Enchanters or whatever.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I just back to Gaspard, and why we love or hate him. I think that he is a fascinating character, and I have to give so much props to the writing because it would have been really easy to just make him this fictional villain who's
mustache twirling villain,
and he does have a mustache, like just to make him that kind of like villain who's too villainous to be believable. And he is a villain, like the thing about this quest specifically with Orlais is that there's no right choice and there's no wrong choice. There's just the choice you decide to make. And every choice you decide to make has different consequences and different pros and cons. But I think Gaspard is so interesting because on the outside, he does look like the villain. He looks like the traditional Orlesian asshole. And then when push comes to shove, yeah, he is that, but he's also so much more. Like, he is also this man who cares deeply for the people that he's leading, who cares deeply for his country, who, you know, has a lot going for him and could probably be a good leader for this country in some ways. And so it's great writing that they didn't make him just unbelievable beyond belief, because it would have been easy to do.
Yeah. You know how, like, a lot of times Dragon Age fans are, like, they very much come into the line of, like, Origins is, like, peak Dragon Age?
Yeah.
I think it's Inquisition. And I think objectively that is the truth. And I think when you look at the game, when you analyze the game from a literary standpoint, from a gameplay standpoint, from an inclusion standpoint, from a just everything that you look at in a game, I actually do think it is on par with some of these indie games that have won Game of the Year in the most recent years, with Baldur's Gate, with Expedition 33. I think that it is on par with those games. And the more I think about it, the more I reflect upon it, I see why it won Game of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only criticism I have of Inquisition is too many of the fetch quests. Like, if they had just made that different, yeah, it absolutely would be far and away the best. But
right, I think that one of the things with me is that, like, fetch quests can so easily be overlooked by the general populace and the fandom, because, I mean, look at Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That thing is riddled with fetch quests, riddled with collectibles that you have to go around and find and try to 100% this game. And people talk about that as the heyday of Assassin's Creed.
They do. That's true. But I don't really want to get into all that. So give me your final thoughts on Gaspard, or if you've already shared them all, then we can wrap it up.
I really love Gaspard in this for a lot of the reasons that you said. But I think that, like, I would put, as a DM, I would put Gaspard's alignment as somewhere, like, in between in the, like, 9x9 square, like, on the corner that touches true neutral and lawful evil.
No, not lawful evil.
Well, I think so. Like, lawful evil is very much a, like, I have a code that I stick by, and I'm willing to commit. As long as I stick by that code, I'm willing to commit whatever atrocities.
Okay, then maybe I can see it now.
Yeah. And I think that there are evil parts of Gaspard. I mean, he does terrible things, but, like, so do a lot of
what ruler doesn't?
Right. And, like, there are times I think a ruler at the end of the day has to be decisive, has to be able to make a decision and bear the consequences. And that's my thing about Celine, is I feel like Celine can make a decision, but she can't bear the consequences. Once people are upset with her or push back against her decision, she's like, oh, she kind of crumbles. Gaspard is like, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Oh, I detest the game too, but this is the decision that we have to make. And so this is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's more valuable as a leader. And, like, that's my thing about where I get this, is that when I think about people who lead countries, like, I am concerned about their morality, but it is almost secondary to me to their ability to make tough decisions and hold accountability for their own actions.
Yeah, which, again, Celine is not good at.
Right. And so that's really where I'm at with that. And I just think I love Gaspard because I think he represents this very, very morally gray done well.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great way to leave it off with. Morally gray done well. Yes.
But yeah, do you have anything else to add?
I don't.
All right. Well, thank you so much for bringing this research. And as I said, I've loved this series. I love the rulers. I love talking about rulers and the politics of Thedas. It is just so interesting. And thank you all for listening to the Dragon Age Lorecast. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Dragon Age Lorecast. If you have any lore questions, topics to cover, or side character suggestions, join the Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It's the best place on the internet.
You can also support the podcast financially and ensure its continuation by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/DALorecast. If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review or comment, or join the Patreon.
The Dragon Age Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Podcasting Network. If you enjoyed our intro or outro music, give a big shout out to Pipeman Studios. Until next time, look to the sky, the dawn will come.
There's a new way to Sweet Green. Meet wraps. Handheld, hearty, and made for life on the move. With bold, chef-crafted flavors, fresh ingredients, and over 40 grams of protein, they're built to satisfy without slowing you down. Try wraps today in the app or at order.sweetgreen.com. Available at all participating locations.
You want the One Piece lore? Then you can have it. I've left all of it here on the One Piece Lorecast. That's right, if you are looking for the One Piece lore, you have found it. Here on the One Piece Lorecast, we are going to be diving deep into everything that makes up the world of One Piece, from Devil Fruits to the Great Pirate Era. We are going to touch on it all. So if you want to know more about One Piece and you're looking for all the answers to the questions you didn't even know you had, this is the place for you. So check us out on Instagram at One Piece Lorecast. We're also on robotsradio.net as well as the Robots Radio Discord, and all our links can be found there. So thank you, and let's set sail.